the next notch. What does it mean if I want to be an excellent basketball player, but there are no basketball courts in my neighborhood, or if the basketball program in my particular school or particular community requires so much of my time that I can't get time to my studies? I play in the AAU league or some other things, but you travel a whole lot and may not have an academic focus. You know? So how can I have the knowledge of that at the same time make certain I'm good at that? Because I've got to be, you're not going to make it to the next notch if you don't master school. School's not an option. Let me be real clear. It's not an option. It's not something you kind of pass and get on. For your generation, unlike my generation, you are the age of my kids. I have kids a little older than you, and I used to have a middle school who was all over the place. So I admire all the principals I see in his day to deal with middle school. For your generation, it is said that you will have to have, at a minimum, 2 years past high school in something. And I want you to hear that, because what people oftentimes say, and this is about the global education we're talking about, Germany, people often say that you're having an elite conversation when you say everybody should go, be prepared to go to college. No, you're not. For your generation, going to college or going 2 years past to get a certification, to get something, is the same thing for us to have a high school diploma. It is what it is. You will not, let me give you some figures. I shared this with my son the other day. So if you are a high school dropout, what do you think for the time you work? Notice I say the time you work. How much do you think you make a year for high school dropout on average? How much? $10,000? $8,000 a year. If you have, for the time you work. Because believe it or not, more often than not you won't have a job. So, high school dropouts, on average, when they are not i.e. incarcerated or unemployed, which they are for 2/3 of the year, might take, on average, that's taking everybody who makes nothing and everybody gets about $8,000 a year. How much do you think you're going to make if you go through high school? How much? You think 6 figures? If you just finished high school, I ain't say college yet. If you're a high school graduate, how much do you think you're making a year? $50,000. If you are a high school graduate, you're looking at making about $14,000 a year. Yeah? And that's what I want you to hear in real time. My kids say, tell them what they make, Mom. Tell everybody what they make. It breaks it down in real time for you. That's the average. That's all the folks that make above that, and all the folks that make a lot less than that, $14,000 a year. If you have some college, I didn't say finish, say you go 1 or 2 years, how much do you think you make a year for that? Huh? 20,000? Oh, about 18,500. You have some college. You see, now when we start at 8,000, you drop out. If you work. Right. And then we stay at high school. You can't, not these days, you compete with other folks who are in high school. So now you have a college degree. How much do you think you make on average a year? How much? 60. Oh, we were there. Wish we all started. Y'all school college. No, you make about 24,000. But you gotta understand, 8,000, 24,000. I'm just being real time for you. 8,000. 8 is 1 of 24. 1/3. That's right. 1/3. So when I give you those, that's for today. That's where you are right now. Can you live off $8,000 a year? Can you live off $13,000, $14,000 a year? Can you live off $18,500 a year? Just get by. That's the beautiful truth. Just get by. 24,000, you kind of just get by too, but at least you got a fighting chance, right? Right, you got a space station. I say that because I think it is so important for you to understand how you count yourself out if you don't commit. If you don't understand right now, at all costs, I will make certain that I graduate high school and I will go on to college. When we changed our graduation requirements here in Duval County, which we did 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we decided that you all had to have straight you had to have 3 algebra 2. Because at the time we were only requiring algebra 1. We made it through algebra 2, no longer algebra 1 geometry. We required 2 years of foreign language. We decided to require, we had to have 4 years of high school English. We required 3 years of social studies or science, I think. One love, I think, okay. When we changed that, people came back to us and said, you all made it so hard. I mean, why would you do that? All kids are not going to go to college. All kids are not college children. You know what our response was? It's not my place to decide who is and who's not. You know, that same higher power created us with an ability to have free will and self-sort. We would count ourselves out on our own. No one else could count us out. That's just what we do. But you had to have that. And guess what? 4 years later, I can share with you, until we changed the requirements last year because we had to change the high school schedule, students were on target to compete. And when we did the 2 years of foreign language, everybody gave us slack. Why in the world would you require these kids who can't read to take a foreign language? Because A, there's no nexus between your ability to read English and take a foreign language. There really isn't. There's no research to show if you're not good at one, you can't do that. But what we knew in the state of Florida was, if you already have 2 years of foreign language, do you know what schools you could not attend? You can't go to the University of Florida. You couldn't go to the University of Florida. You couldn't go to Florida State University. And I think FAMU might have had it at the same time. All the preeminent state universities had that as a requirement. So if they wanted everybody to have 2 years of foreign language, we need to require for you all as well. But more importantly, you guys met the challenge of doing that. Let me tell you what else you got to have to do. We're talking about global economy. So we talked about you got to have 2 years of, well, if you want to try to make, at least try to get to $24,000 average amount, right? You can make a lot more than that. If you work hard, you can make a lot more than that. We're just talking about being able to compete. You've got to be very fluent with technology and computer access. You've got to be very fluent with technology. Statistics show that for African Americans 15 and over, about 45% of us use a computer at home, compared to 65% of non-Hispanic whites who use a computer at home. But only 34% of us at home have internet access. If the world is flat, guys, you all have to become so comfortable with technology, so comfortable being able to communicate with that need, that you got to make sure that you do it right now. Not just playing games, because you have the knowledge, but you got to make sure you invest in using it for other things. So it's a research tool. You know, so it's a way for people to do their job. So you got to make sure that you're comfortable with doing that. And what you got to share at home, you know, if you see a computer and say Walmart, you know, Walmart always has one sale. They're using what, $350, $400. They don't have anything on, correct? And they're probably out there for the time to that price. It's better to invest in a computer that costs a little more. You know, we'll spend money on stuff, shoes, clothes, you know, all that. You want to make an investment at this particular point in time in the computer because you've got to have it. So I think the greatest thing for your generation is you all are familiar with the iPod Touch. You touch? Yeah. That is the greatest. My kids love it. You know, that is the greatest thing for your generation. There will be an app. If an app can do your job, you won't have a job. Did you hear me? If an app that you put can do your job, you're not going to have one. You understand? So again, you want to make certain that you have the core competence skills we're talking about. At the same time, you have to close the knowledge because it's going to be very hard to compete. It's going to be very hard to compete. If you don't find a niche, something you are the best at. So for example, through debate, you all will be ahead of your peers because you will know how to present and communicate. When I grew up, I was told that you only get one chance at a first impression. And that's when you open your mouth and someone will talk to somebody. You can't get a do-over, my bad, no. That's the mental image people have of you. You will have so many doors open to you because how you present your ability to speak to this league. Now, to make certain that you have substance and content that you've done your background homework after you follow up with that, but that's going to be so important that you present that way.